Instagram followers, Facebook, Twitter, everybody out there, welcome to the first ever alternative family. I was like, what's my organization? I couldn't even remember because it's 9:15 at night. And oh, hi Brandie, hello my darling, she's gonna come in. It's 9:15 at night and my brain is fried because I'm a mom, but we do this shit because we love it. Brandie! Hey everybody, I'm so excited. Here we are live Instagram, live chat. First of all, how are you doing? It's like 9:15 at night. I'm
fried.
Right. We're mom fried. But this is how we do it, right? We try and integrate like life with caregiving, with our passion, with work, and we just don't, we just try to keep going and keep the energy flowing. Am I right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do a quick intro for you because I've interviewed a million people, but I'm like so excited to interview, and I'm kind of like intimidated. I don't know why. I'm just like, you're so awesome. You're so exciting. Like, she's president of Attachment Parenting Canada, co-creator and facilitator of the Infant Sleep Educator Program with Bebo Mia. Did I say that right?
Oh, Mia. Bebo.
Okay. Bebo Mia, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Lifetime certified Dr. Sears family health coach.
Mm-hmm.
She's a parent educator, health coach. She provides an alternate method of sleep. I just nursed my 3-year-old to sleep, so I know all about that. And mother of 2, an admitted workaholic. I love that you put that in, so you can be like all about your kids and all about your work at the same time, right? Hey everybody, we got lots of moms joining here, and I'm just like saying hi to them and other people, parents, moms, whatever. And she loves working and being with her kids. She loves dating her husband, playing on the trampoline. It's all about your trampoline right now, am I right?
Yeah.
And she's badly in love with her life and believes that you can live authentically. So thank you so much. How are you? So you're fried too? Me too?
Yeah, but it's not so much the kids, but I got social today and I'm introverted, so that kind of fries me.
I see. Yes, I'm an extrovert, so I need people to wrap up. Yeah. So but the kids didn't fry you.
No.
Did they invigorate? Does it invigorate you?
Well, I got to be apart from them, so a little bit of absence makes the heart grow fonder. So it was rejuvenating in a sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically like a balance. You had a good balanced day with that. So first of all, I just want to, for people who don't know, like, can you just say briefly what is attachment parenting?
Sure. So there are 8 principles of attachment parenting, and the whole concept is rooted in developmental psychology. So it used to be like in the late 40s, early 50s, there was more of a behaviorist stance, like how can we train or, make the kids behave in a certain way. But then technology caught up and we learned more about the brain, and then a more developmental approach is what attachment parenting is around. And essentially it's like the relationship between primary caregiver and child is the blueprint for the future relationships. So we want them to believe that they matter, that they're loved like warts and all, that they love themselves. They don't have to be perfect. So it's not about being a perfect parent, because we're not modeling that. We're modeling self-love, unconditional love, and that despite the age, they are human and they're mothers. That's what I would say in a nutshell. Right.
And isn't it kind of going back to how animals and mammals parent, and, tribal societies, Aboriginal First Peoples, and basically before like the Industrial Revolution, when people got really intense, like we have to sleep because we have to wake up and we have to like produce little capitalist citizens. And so it's kind of like going back to like just how cats sleep with their little kittens and cuddle and milk and right. And it basically is what and breastfeeding.
And not in like what you said. It's not about training them to respond to a bell or like, totally. Industrial Revolution changed parenting for sure.
Kind of like, it's just trying to go back to being human and natural and not be so uptight. Like they have to be independent as babies, and we can just cuddle when we don't, if we want to keep breastfeeding, we can, and just let the attachment be strong. You don't have to
if there weren't any, and nobody telling you what to do, what you'd probably do.
Right.
Yeah.
So just give them more freedom to, or if nobody was telling the mom, or nobody's telling the kids. The mom. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's going
but you're
just
saying
the mom's instinct.
The
children. Yeah. The children too, right?
Yeah.
So how to attachment parenting? Did you always think that as a kid, this is how I'm going to parent, or were you like, I'm going to train, and did something change, or what happened for you?
No, I had totally different expectations of what parenting was going to look like, and I do know some people that were raised in an attachment fostering way, and then that's just what their norm was, and they continued that on with their parenting, and they're some of the most confident parents I meet. But no, it wasn't what I had planned. It was just what unfolded, and it was everything that wasn't in the books that I was reading at the time and on the interweb. So it was kind of a hard time coming around to coming to terms with my instincts and my intuition. It wasn't what I was reading. It wasn't what I expected. And I didn't feel a lot of support in the beginning, but I was saying that potentially I would have had more support had I been more confident in my voice and more confident in my choice. So, I kind of shamefully attachment parenting in secret for a little while.
So you just started doing it ashamed and anxious about it, and feel alone, not supported by it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and what success was as a parent, what the picture that had been painted for me in the very first book that I had purchased was the baby sleeps through the night in their own crib. And so I thought that I had to, being an overachiever, I had to aspire to this picture, and learned that this isn't a project. This is another human being. This isn't, this is a spirit. So that was the biggest life lesson I could ever learn, was honoring this other spirit, and they're not reflections of me or my worth or whether I'm successful. If that makes sense.
Yeah. There's so much pressure. It's we're on display as parents, our children are some sort of people judge who we are based on their behavior, and it's they're just, it shouldn't be perfectly behaved all the time anyways. But I know for me, I didn't know what I was going to do as a parent. I thought, I'll just sleep train, sure. I didn't know. And then I had my kid, and he just every time he cried, it just I needed to fix, I just wanted to hold him. And I was I'm just going to hold him. And I held him in the hospital. You weren't allowed to coast, and I just did it. I was I'm awake. And I just held him, because I was recovering from a C-section. I didn't put him down hardly ever. And then he had colic for 7 months, so I just breastfed him all the time. And then I just picked up the Dr. Sears book, and I was well, this makes total sense. I'm just going to do this because this is what my kid needs. He's got gas or whatever's going on with him. I had no idea at the time, but the only thing that works is the breast. But was it something like that for you, or it was just an instinct that kicked in immediately, or was there some moment, or?
There was definitely immediate. I was the same as you. I was he was on my chest, and the nurses in the hospital kind of just looked the other way, because I think they know that it's probably most of the parents are doing that. It was immediate, and I think that was kind of accepted in the beginning, but then there's a point where people are expecting that they're telling you that you're coddling. And my firstborn was very colicky as well.
Yeah, I think the colicky kids really bring you to attachment. I think Dr. Sears himself didn't really come to sleep. Oh, sorry, it cut out again. But mostly the connection's pretty good, so keep going.
Yeah, his fourth child that introduced the concept of attachment parenting. Yeah.
You basically need a fussy or high needs or colicky kid to be oh wow, if they need to be hugged or coddled, fine, cuddled,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's a lot of opinions about how to parent, you know. And I remember you telling me that like your husband works long hours and he'd come home and just love to cuddle with all of you in bed. So it wasn't just you, but your husband was like loving that intimacy as well, right? Like to get time with, like to sleep with his babies, right?
Yeah, and he was actually I was so close to like going the cry it out route that I even like proposed it and like had a book and like made my husband read the key points, and I was like, okay, this is what's happening. Your mom's coming over.
Here's the presentation.
Yeah. And he was like, no, I'm not going. Like he was the first advocate. Like his intuition was strong. So that's been awesome to have, you know, to have that support.
So, okay, so your husband, you're talking about your husband was like encouraging you. You were like, we're going to sleep train. And then your husband was encouraging you. He was like, no, we can't do this. Because like, don't worry about this. I love coming home and cuddling both of you. Right. And
yeah, he works like at the time he was working like 16-hour days, set hours they call it.
Mm-hmm.
And so he wouldn't see us sometimes for days on end. And his only moment with us would be when our baby would, like in his sleep, reach out and touch his beard, like to feel that he was there, and to come home and see his family and to just join us for his like 5 hours of sleep that he was able to get a night. It was like precious time for him. So he really encouraged me to listen to my instincts. You know, it was an up and down journey, but ultimately, it was when my son got really sick at 5 months old that really tapped me into my intuition hard. And then I was like, you know, you kind of have that, like that near death experience where you realize suddenly what matters most, and it became abundantly clear in that moment. And it was like no looking back. And then Dr. Sears.
and we were just saying that Dr. Sears basically figured out, you know, attachment parenting when he had his fourth kid who was colicky or high needs, as he says, right?
Yeah.
And just realized the kid needed the boob and needed to co-sleep and just needed to be held. Couldn't put the baby down. And I love things about his book about how, like, you know, there's certain countries where they, like, at 3 months, they have like a ceremony of laying the baby down. Like, it's the first time the baby is on the ground because the baby's literally held for 3 months. And how it's just so normal in kind of pre-industrial cultures to just hold the baby and nurse the baby and cuddle with the baby, and there's no thoughts about it. And did you have any criticisms or resistance? I mean, I know a lot of people, you know, can encounter this from friends, family, strangers.
Yeah. So yeah, it was hard because at first, you know, I had like certain friends that I'd imagined we would spend our maternity leave together, and then, you know, I was doing one thing and they were doing another thing, and so I felt kind of alone for the time. And then I remember when my firstborn was 7 weeks old, and we had relatives from out of town visiting, and I was told that I was coddling him, and yeah, I think really there was a lot of pressure that I was putting on myself to succeed in the eyes of others. But then when my firstborn was like, how old was he? Like 5. I was told by somebody that I had no idea, not negatively, that basically they'd been holding back, choking down, disagreeing with every single choice I'd been making. And once they started, they just kept giving it to me, and I was just totally, it was like one of the hardest things I think that's probably ever happened to me, because I was devastated. The part of my life that had been the biggest challenge and that I put the most into, and that I just, you know, trying my best doesn't even come close to how I feel as a parent. And then it's like when you put everything into something and somebody's like, I think you're shit, basically, you know, someone that you love, you know.
It's like they just tear you down. I feel like everyone can relate to that. at some point in their life, whether it's through parenting or not, just somebody who just comes and wants to kind of like destroy the essence of you. I mean, I have a friend just telling me like she remembers the moment her family sat her down and said, "You're not going to be an artist. That's not acceptable. You have to get a real job." And she just hasn't been able to focus on her art ever since, you know, and that was like 40 years ago, you know, or 30 years ago, whatever.
I remember family telling me, a particular family member with my husband, what's he going to do in the arts? Because he was going to art school and I was supporting him at that time.
Right.
And I remember, you know, I wasn't a parent yet, and I remember fiercely coming into his defense. And, you know, sure enough, they eat their words once they see what you can do in the arts, which is pretty amazing and beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, why is parenting like, I mean, I think part of why I created the whole, you know, magazine, Alternative Families International, is because, and I'm being purposely inclusive. It's not just for gay people. No, it's not just for attachment people. No, it's not for just people who did IVF. I mean, it's like, I want it to be inclusive because the point is that why do we all feel like we're all freaks? Like, why do we all feel like there's some part of us that feels like the moms are judging us or the dads are judging us or the grandparents are like, there's such restrictions around us, and it's like, and at the end of the day, like, is the kid being locked in the closet? Are they being beaten? Like, I mean, don't you think they're going to be okay? Like they're getting love and we're doing the best we can, and it's not about being perfect anyways. And, you know, can't we have different styles and different personalities and aren't we, you know, like, I don't know. Why is it so, why do people care so much, like, about wanting us to fit in a box?
That's my credo, is no dogma. Like, I can't stand, like, I create an attachment parenting community, but I'm not trying to go out and convert people to homeschool or to, you know, like, I just want to be able to people to have a soft place to land if that resonates for them, to know, like, hey, you know, this is my journey too, and for people to not feel alone. But it's so not dogma.
Right. Like, so you really think it's okay, like, people doing other, like, even if they're sleep training, as long as it's not, like, extreme or whatever, like, or, I mean, do you really feel that that's okay? Can have that variation? Or do you kind of go, well, rubs me the wrong way, but what do I know? Or, like, I don't know.
I think there's a spectrum, and you can't paint every situation with such a broad stroke.
Yeah.
Like, and there's different temperaments. So if you were to say, somebody sleep trained my firstborn, I would think that would be abuse. Any situation, because I know his temperament later turned out to be sensory processing disorder, genetic mutations. He was dealing with such an overwhelming pain and stress at such a young age that denying him comfort when, you know, and I didn't know what was going on at the time, but his sensory barrier is much thinner than the average baby, right? So in that situation, but there are much. I mean, my second born is super laid back, and if you went for a bit in the crib and somebody called that, cried out, was that abuse? Absolutely not.
Right.
And I know some phenomenal responsive parents who have done informed sleep training, and they are on the floor playing with their kids, super involved, super attached. So I just don't believe you can judge people. You have no idea what's going on.
And I think it's like, you can't even pinpoint it. Like, you can't deduce like a whole childhood's experience to like a parenting style. It's like, you know, I've seen people who are attached from parents who like have a very like harsh tone to, you know what I mean? And then I've seen like people who are more traditional who are very gentle. It's like, in a way, it's just like, well, it's so complicated, and it's like maybe they're a little more strict about sleep, but then they're more lenient or loving in other ways, and it kind of balances out. And like, as long as the kid's getting like their cup full of love and self-esteem building and attachment is obviously important no matter where it comes from. I totally feel that. Yeah. And so that's interesting. So you feel like your firstborn came with certain needs, you know, and that you just basically followed those. And that's really where Dr. Sears like got into the whole attachment thing. And that's how I got into it too with my colicky kid. And like, some kids are just different. And then that's kind of keeps following you on this journey towards homeschooling. And I wonder if you could talk about that, because that is actually very unique, even more unique than attachment is homeschooling, right? That's even more, what's the negativity you've gotten? What's the amazing thing about it? Why are you doing it? And what does your day look like? That's a lot of questions at once.
Yeah.
Take any you want.
So technically we are unschooling, which is different than we're not in school at home.
Oh, so there's a distinction there. There's homeschoolers and then there's unschoolers. Aha, okay.
Don't, you know, like, while I do know what the curriculum is per grade, we don't sit down. I more use it as a, like, where are we at? So that I can know, you know, what's developmentally kind of appropriate. But that being said, my 7-year-old's like doing grade 10 science because that's his strength. So it's more like living life and learning. And it's amazing how much learning takes place when you just live life. Mm-hmm. And how that all came to be, because if the birth order was reversed, things would have played out a lot differently. It probably would have been a lot harder. But I had no idea I was going to be unschooling. My firstborn, by the time he was 18 months of age, he was talking in full sentences. His comprehension of everything was mind-blowing, and also a big weight on his shoulder. Because for a little guy to be understanding and communicating, you know, but on the flip side, there were other areas where he was lagging in certain skills. And so he was able to verbalize very young things like, I don't like the park. Like, it wasn't until 7 years of age that he actually willingly go to the park, but he'll never suggest it. I don't like birthday parties. Please don't give me a birthday party. And so that's how he started to learn that he was so overwhelmed by the world and needed quiet. You know, if two people were having a conversation in the same room, it was like his hands were over his ears and he could not deal. So, given his comprehension, he also responded very negatively to any form of coercion, which included teaching. Like learning was all organic. And as soon as I got into like teacher mode, even as a toddler, he was like, called me on it. So I just started learning about different philosophies, and we looked at Waldorf, and we looked at Montessori, and we had a spot at Montessori. That was always my plan. But it wasn't a fit. It wasn't a fit for this huge spirit. So then I found unschooling, and I found a community, and I found books, and it all made sense. And particularly an article about allowing your highly sensitive child to shine through unschooling. And when I read this certain post, it was like, this was written for me. It just validated everything that was going on and validated the beautiful child that I had. And so that's how that all came to be. And yeah, a lot of criticism.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first tell me what is unschooling? Like, what does the day look like? What does that mean?
Oh, so it's quite organic. Like, you know, we do have certain things that happen on certain days, and like, you know, days that I have mother's helpers come over so that I can get work done, or you know, when we have the farmers market. But like, other than that, it's like, you know, he was really into Captain Underpants, and that turned into Dog Man, and he likes reading Dog Man book. He loved reading all the nonsense words. He's got like a real love of language.
Oh, yeah.
And twisters and things like that, just like light him on. So we go into that. We delve into what he's interested in, and because he's receptive to it, everything, like, you can't even say this is math, because math is learned at the same time as social skills, as reading. Like, it's all, there's no rigid lines between subjects, you know?
Yeah.
So it's incredible. Like,
so you basically just follow his intellectual curiosity, and you just go where he wants to go, and you just show him the next steps. Okay, you're into language. Here's some books, and here's like a word game, and here's like, you basically just follow his flow. Is that it? And you just kind of like maybe show him some next steps. Like, okay, well, you're into this. Well, check this out. Like,
yeah. facilitate and provide opportunity based around, but then there's also meeting everybody's needs. So sometimes, it's not a passion, but it's something that we're going to be doing, like a big hike today, for example.
Right.
And he gets comfortable, but then he grows from being uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. And then is this like the long-term plan? Like, is this like, this is what we're going to do until a certain grade, or, or like you have no idea yet? What do people do?
Yeah. So one of my closest friends has 5 kids, and her oldest two, like her one is in high school now, but he was homeschooled from 2nd grade, I believe, until high school.
Yeah.
Totally social, like, totally integrated amazingly into high school. And then her second oldest is in 8th grade, and he decided he wanted to go to school at that point. I'm not going to force school until it's something that he is pursuing because he's ready to spread his wings and spend more of his time with his peer group, which at 7, some kids would be ready to spend more time with their peer group. I know my 3-year-old, he craves peer group action, so we have to make that happen. But my oldest is not craving that. He loves hanging out with adults.
Yeah.
He loves babies.
Yeah.
Not so into other 7-year-olds yet.
Yeah. And then what about, do you worry about, or how do you deal with the kind of like, well, he should learn, I don't know, arithmetic, or like certain, like, do you, how does that, like, do you ever think, oh, well, he has to learn this, I should teach him this at some point, or you're like, forget that, doesn't matter, if he wants to learn that, we'll teach it? It's a constant struggle with myself, because I would love to sit there with the curriculum and do, like, for me, I love workbooks. Like, right. Oh, I get that, like, right. Oh, I really want him to be reading really well, or be able to write, and, he struggles in those areas, and so I want, but then I see the shutdown and how learning isn't actually happening. So it's a constant battle, and it's not perfect, and that's why I don't consult in that area, because you're like figuring it out. I'm figuring it out as I go. We all are, I mean, but it's like you're on the edge. If you're like following the instincts of something new, if you're not fully certain, right? That's part of the creative process. But it's so brave. Like, it's so brave of you to be like, I'm just going to follow this, And, well, but it's also maybe just reality, because you're just like, this is just what my kid needs. It's not even brave. It's just like, but this is just obvious to you, If you read if you ever check out Caption Underpants, if you read the bio of the author, Dav Pilkey, it talks about how he was in school. He was always kicked. He had ADHD and was always kicked out of class. And he would make comics in the hallway. And his teacher would say, "How are you ever going to do anything with that? Like, you're wasting your life." And thankfully, he wasn't a very good listener. And that's like my kid to a T. Like, he'll find his way. Yeah, and I know he'd be that kid out in the hallway, isolated. And he's so smart, like, it's like he'll figure it out. Like, he's so verbal and so articulate. Yeah, that's so great. And then it's pretty radical unschooling. Like, homeschooling is radical, and then to unschooling is even more radical. So what kind of flack have you gotten for making this like beautiful radical decision to follow your instincts, really? Yeah. I mean, you don't have to say specifically who, but, just like what kinds of things are said, It surprises me, and never ceases to amaze me what things people will say. But the most common one, like, I was at a cocktail party for a film wrap party, and somebody who doesn't have children started, like, challenging me about socialization, which is the common one. How they learn socialization. But I'm pretty existential, like, just to the core. So I always think, but so that what? So why? Like, what's the meaning of life? Like, right. Yeah. Like, some people go to school their whole lives and end up hermits anyways. Like, they're just not meant. Like, they're just like, I'm a loner. I'm going to go in my computer and, like, work on numbers, or I'm going to be a painter. No, nothing wrong with that. They're like, I'm going to socialize with 3 people. And it's like, fine. Like, that's I mean, everyone else is acquaintances anyways, right? We're only close to 4 people anyways, research shows or whatever. And everyone else is different variations of acquaintances. I mean, it's like you're just supposed to have a few close friends anyways. I don't know. But yeah. I mean, I know there's like the free school. My friends sent their kids to the free school. So, and you know, I guess it's similar where the kids just follow. And then when you hear that criticism, does it kind of like eat at the part of you that's self-doubting, and then you like have to fight it back, or like what happens?
Yeah, I don't know. Like there was I think I was most sensitive maybe around that time when he was 5 and when he would have been going into senior kindergarten, was when I got the major sit down of like, I don't approve of anything you're doing, and like this kid's doomed.
And this is from like friends or family or whatever, something like that, or
and family, and then that turned into empowerment. Like that rage propelled me into empowerment because I'm completely confident about what I'm doing, and ultimately this is my parenting journey and nobody else's, so I only have to report back to myself.
And what is so great about getting to like just follow your instinct, and what results do you see in your kids? And not that it's result based, but you know, like the moments of like, oh, like it's working, or like what do you love about it?
I guess the biggest thing would be the bond between my 2 kids, like, is beautiful. It's like nothing I've ever seen before, and I feel like they're soulmates. Like they're completely opposite. They complement one another. They're so attached. Seeing their relationship unfold is like the best gift that I've ever received in my life. And they're afforded that because they get to spend all day, every day with each other. And don't you think, like, when it comes down to it at the end of your life, that knowing that your sibling is like got your back is like the most important thing? Having a pack of besties is great too.
And then also like they get so much time and security from you, so they don't have to compete with each other is kind of the idea. Right?
And seeing the empathy being modeled too, like you know, seeing, like, I posted a little while back my eldest giving my youngest guided meditation to fall asleep, because the youngest missed his dad, and my husband gives guided meditations for them to go to sleep, and he was missing dad, and he offered a meditation, and then he did it, like modeled it just as my husband does it. And like for 7-year-olds to have that sort of that level of empathy for their younger sibling to try to help them fall asleep with their needs, it's those beautiful things. I mean, so crazy challenging too, don't get me wrong, like they scream at each other and like try to punch each other.
Right. And are there days where you're just like home with them all the time, and you're like they're climbing the wall, and when you're like, what am I doing? And you know, or like, right? Does that just happen to me, or is that you too?
Where I'm like, I'm going crazy. Like just the other day, like nobody would believe it. Like both of them were crying on the couch saying, "You don't love us," because I was just done, like mom tantrum time.
They were saying that you didn't love them, and you're just like, I can't give any more. I know. I think there's something about them where they just need to ask for more, and you're just like, I don't know, it doesn't matter what you do. It's just like they have to have these moments where they have to express that they want more.
And I think they have to see us reach our limits sometimes. And they have to see what that looks like, and they have to see us be like, I'm done.
Why do they want to see that? Why do they like that? Why do they like that? I don't know. I agree. They definitely like to see the limits. I don't know.
But I think one of the things I was going to say, like in terms of most challenging, would be when your child is publicly acting out or something that it isn't obvious that what you're doing is successful. Where it's like you could easily say, days like that because you don't put your foot down enough, because, you know, and like I mentioned the sensory integration thing, right? Which isn't a need, isn't something that's obvious, right? So if a child is melting down because it's too bright and too loud and their tag's itching them and they just have a freak out, to somebody else outside, it just looks like they're a brat. And, you know, it's very easy to point the finger at, right? Because I've coddled, because I've made accommodations for those needs. So I think that's been the most challenging.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking of that because I saw you, or you told me that, or posted about it, and I was actually thinking about it as my kid this morning was melting down in a indoor play area. And, you know, and it's funny because this other parent was like, I said, this other parent, you know, the space is so great. And he's like, are you saying that sarcastically? And I'm like, no, it's great. Like, he's like, but they're melting down. Like, your kid's melting down. I'm like, oh, yeah, but I mean, whether he does this at home or here, it's great to be doing it here. I'm like, there's trains and he's having a great time. And like, he kept looking at me and I was like, what? Doesn't your kid melt down? I mean, he's just melting down. It's fine. I'm here. Like, I'm here to hug him when he's ready. And he's just whatever. He was frustrated because he didn't want to share. And I was like, you know, there's other kids here you're going to have to share. Like, you can't take all the toys for you. And so I was like, if you need to cry, that's okay. I'm here. Like, whatever you need, I can hold you. But it's like, express your feelings. It's okay. And they were looking at me and I was like, what? He's just sad about sharing. I get it. Like, and I was thinking about what you were saying about like, people were looking at me a bit like, aren't you worried? And I'm like, he's just having a feeling. Like, he's 3. My kid's 3. He's like, I don't want to share. I'm like, yeah, I know. It sucks. He's tired, whatever. So, yeah, but it's crazy. So, I don't know. And then you work as a sleep consultant, right? And you just like are there for people to help them if they're having any troubles with the sleep. But then you also have been working as a this new thing, or newish, has been working with like nutrition. And can you talk just briefly about the food and everything that you're like so passionate about? And it's inspiring.
Yeah, that was actually my original passion. Like I've been in health and fitness for over a decade before becoming a parent. And then when my first son was born, I thought I would teach nutrition classes for families, and then I got certified in pre and postnatal nutrition, and that was my original goal. And then the sleep stuff just kind of, you know, can't control sometimes what passions take over. So that took over. But the nutrition part is so relevant anyways, and they go hand in hand, because if you, the time in your life when your sleep is being interrupted constantly and the demands on you physically, mentally, and emotionally are the greatest that they'll ever be when you're a new parent, is when nutrition matters the most. So they really go hand in hand, and I'm realizing after my health slid pretty badly for a while, and then it was just really highlighted for me how key the nutrition piece is. And then being able to take my own health back and feel better than I did when I was 20 had been such an incredible journey. And like every day, like every single day, I'm like, wow, like I can't believe that I have this energy, that my joints don't ache, that like I feel more confident in my skin, like just everything that I can't not share that, because I'm just like hard on my sleep. I just share whatever I'm loving and learning as I'm doing it.
I do the same thing. Yeah, it's beautiful. I love when I find somebody else who does that. It's inspiring, you know, it's beautiful. And it's just like interesting. It's like, oh, what's Brandie up to? Like, it's just so fun to follow you on social media. You're so vulnerable and like open up about like difficult moments, beautiful moments. And then like, I was like, what's she into? What is this nutrition thing? So is it basically like just lots of vegetables and fruit and real foods, organic, or is there more to it? There's capsules. Like, I mean, what can you talk about briefly?
Sure. So the main thing is having, you know, I am not vegan, but I'm not dogmatic. I know, like, I believe that there's science to support veganism. There's science to support keto. Like, I'm not dogmatic with that, but what I do believe and know is that we need more plant-based nutrition in our bodies to deal with all the free radicals, all the oxidative stress going on. We need phytonutrients. Like, we are phytonutrient deficient society, and like, it's getting worse and worse because the quality of our food is decreasing. The deficit hit way too soon, sitting in the grocery store, depleting of nutrition, fast-paced life that we're leading, like people eating less and less. So I do rep for Juice Plus, which is fruits and vegetables encapsulated, raw, non-GMO, pesticide-free, safe for babies, safe for anybody, as a way to kind of ensure that we're getting the nutrition that we need. And I lead a gentle cleanse for families, like you can do it when you're pregnant, you can do it with your kids. A lot of behavioral issues can be resolved through nutrition. So as a parent, like, it's so relevant, and with attachment parenting, so relevant, because if we're supposed to be practicing positive discipline and being mindful, how can we do that if we're suffering from anxiety and and we're just depleted of nutrition?
Yeah.
It all.
That's so cool. So if people want to find out more about sleep, attachment parenting, nutrition, follow you, hire you as a consultant, all of that, how do they get in touch with you?
So you can find me on Facebook, Dream with Brandie Hadfield, Brandie with an I-E, Hadfield, Hadfield. Also Instagram by the same name. And my website for my course on sleep is called thedreammethod.com. So I'm all over.
Yeah, that's so great. That's so great. I think I need to get some of those little Juice Plus pills or whatever. I'm going to contact you about that. Sounds good. And it's like, as I get older, I'm like, I better just get really, really healthy, because I'm like, I'm 42. I have a 3-year-old. I'm going to be having another at some point soon. It's just like, I got to be as healthy as possible for my kids and for me and all of that. Oh, one more thing. You said the word positive parenting. What does that mean?
Positive discipline. So it's rather than punitive discipline. So really, it's like a lot of things can be avoided. A lot of situations, like meltdowns or whatever. I mean, some meltdowns sometimes cannot be avoided, and positive discipline would be exactly what you said: empathizing and not stifling, not like shh, don't cry, but teaching that emotions, like, we can feel them all. The emotions are not anything to be shutting down.
Right.
But a lot of upset can be prevented through, like, okay, if my kid's tank is totally empty, probably not a good time to go to Walmart. And if you have to, you're gonna know that there's gonna be a meltdown, and you're not upset with them for that, or penalizing them for that,
right,
or isolating them for that, because they're just human, and you're understanding developmentally what's appropriate. And for a little toddler, you're not expecting them to sit at the table for dinner for an hour, because it's not developmentally appropriate for a toddler.
Right.
So it's just being aware of brain development, and I could talk for an hour about it. So
yeah, no worries. I want to thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else that you want to talk about, mention, promote? I don't know, anything that you want to say?
Sure. Next Saturday, I am doing a live class, free class, about working from home. So if there are parents that are, just like me, who has this very high needs baby and doesn't want to go back to like 50 hours a week in an office, and they're looking at their options, I'm doing a free class on that specifically. So that's next Saturday, and you can sign up on my Facebook page for that.
That sounds amazing. That sounds so good. Thank you so much for your time. Everybody check out Brandie Hadfield. I'm going to put like your tags and stuff on everything. And thank you for interviewing with me and Alternative Families International. And I think it's really beautiful that you're just embracing and going forward with who you are and your instincts, and being a leader for that, and sharing your story, the struggles and the triumphs and the successes, and just like we have to recreate what parenthood is, right? And you're a leader with that. So I just want to thank you for that, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Athena.
Thank you. Have a good night. Bye. She's the president of Attachment Parenting Canada. Have a good night, you guys. Be you, be yourselves. Don't fit into the box as a parent. Take what you leave. Take what you like, leave the rest. Have a good night. Bye.